Chiefs put together a fantastic performance against the Houston Texans, a divisional winner in the AFC, on short rest, with Mahomes dealing with a high ankle sprain. A complete performance against a very good playoff team. 27-19. Chiefs win. They are one win away, or one Buffalo Bills loss away from securing the AFC's most important and most coveted prize in the regular season, the 1 seed. Tucker D. Franklin, I don't think we are going to have any issues bringing the juice today, my friend. Merry Christmas to you. Very excited to be doing this show with you. We might be hearing from Matt Lane, but Tuck, how are you feeling after this game?
I'm good. Here's the reason is that we go into a lot of these games thinking, how weird is this one going to be, right? Like, what is going to happen in this one that makes it so weird? And I don't know how you feel. Like, that game felt relatively normal. I mean, there was obviously the big Tank Dell injury, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, and injuries from the Chiefs players. And I'm sure these conversations will all come about as, we progress through this 3 games and 11 days stretch here. I think that's going to be a talking point here when you see the player safety side of everything. But Ken, in the Chiefs, in the 2024 version of this Kansas City Chiefs team, they've played a lot weirder games than they did just there against the Houston Texans. And I don't know about you, but for me, this game never felt in doubt. I was never really worried from Jump Street when the Jaden Hicks comes out and he picks off C.J. Stroud. I was like, okay, I feel a lot better about this game. I was never really too worried about the end result of this one.
The nerves really, the only time I got a little bit nervous was when the Chiefs gave the Niners 2 short fields to start the second half. In the first 5 minutes, you get the 3 and out, or the 5 and out, from the Chiefs. Short field. Texans go down and score, and then Chiefs try to go for it on 4th and 1. They don't get it, and then it's in Chiefs territory to start the drive for the Texans. That was really the only time that you felt a little bit nervous. But like after that point, the Chiefs dominated the game. They just they owned the rest of the game. They controlled the rest of that game. They put a fantastic performance together, and I think it wasn't just those moments. I think this was perhaps is one of, if not the best performances for the Kansas City Chiefs this season. I think 100%. You saw them dial things up a little bit. It kind of feels like they're starting to ramp things up a little bit. They know what's at stake here. They know it's getting real close to playoff time, and it kind of felt a little January football-ish to me. And you saw that. I think everyone elevated their play, and I don't know if that's just because Mahomes was dealing with this injury and it was something that galvanized this team. Where you're all, the entirety of the team knows that they need to respond because they've got to get right for Patrick Mahomes and make sure that they take some of the pressure off of him. And I really think they did. I think the entirety of this team, this was a complete performance, complimentary football. This is a winning formula for the Kansas City Chiefs. And you saw some really good things out there. And I think you see if they get healthy, man, if they peak at the right time with their health, with the offensive line, with Mahomes' ankle, I feel really good about this team and their outlook in January if we're going to see a version of this in the playoffs.
I mean, talking about getting healthy too, let's talk about Hollywood Brown because he does make his Chiefs debut there. His first catch is a 4th down conversion on a pretty crucial drive for this team there. So it was good to see Hollywood Brown get involved, not only there, but kind of later on in the game too. Patrick Mahomes looked really good. when it came down to with dealing with an ankle injury. I know a lot of people are going to spin it and say that he faked it and everything like that just because he just has the ability to rehab like an absolute animal and can come out there. We saw him limping kind of towards there at the end of the game there. I think he was feeling the effects of it too. And I think you kind of saw in the passing game a little bit too. He was feeling the effects of it. We're seeing right now, if you're watching on youtube.com, that the third Xavier Worthy was a little behind, right? Was a little bit behind him there. And there's a couple of underthrown balls, I think, that you could probably chalk up to the ankle from Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
But overall, I think the injuries are going to be a big thing talking about it. Jawan Taylor does leave the game. Wanya Morris has to come in and play. But the offense, when they needed to get it done, we talked about this for the past, I think, 3 or 4 weeks now. They haven't been able to ice games. And, Maddie, they are able to ice the game. Welcome into the show.
Yeah, no, good to be here. Had to get this remote setup going as we watch probably what I know you guys already talked about, one of the more fun to watch Chiefs games in a minute.
Yeah.
Doesn't come down to the final stretch. You got some stuff on both offense and defense this week to be excited about. So yeah, it was a fun game. It was really nice to see, because I think like every Chiefs fan, we're sitting here like a little concerned about the second half offense and how it's going and everything. And then all of a sudden to see them be able to flip that switch in the second half when they needed to and get things working. And yeah, a lot of that was, Mahomes, you could see there was some impact of the ankle injury, but not a ton. I thought, especially in the first half, he threw some of his better like downfield shots. He was getting on the move a little bit. And then the second half started, there was some ups and downs, but like for a large part, I thought he played good. I thought the offense as a whole played pretty good. And I think you could just see where this offense can go when they have all these pieces that are nice and healthy. Like that's the most exciting part.
Let's focus on the offense a little bit there, like the entirety of it, right? Because hey, I don't know if you might have forgot this because of this game, but like Joe Thuney is a guard playing left tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs, and you had no idea for the majority of this game. He was fantastic. The offensive line, I think, played a very good performance. I think Mahomes only got hit 3 times on the day. I think you have a lot of people deserve credit for that too. I think this was a complete performance, a complete game plan. Everyone, execution, play calling. Everything was great from this team in this game. We're very good for the most part in this game from this team, right? I think the Chiefs did a really good job of getting the ball out of the hands of Patrick Mahomes. So I think, the play calling gave them opportunities for him to get the ball out of his hands. I think the receivers made some tremendous plays. You saw some big time catches and some crucial moments for this team. There was a lot to be excited about. When you were looking at what this team, and oh, by the way, this is one of the best defenses in the National Football League that the Chiefs just scored 27 points on, and we're essentially managing the last 15 minutes of that game. Man, Maddie, I don't know. I was so impressed. I thought, top to bottom, this was the best coached, best executed game for the Chiefs in a long, long time on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was. I think there was like that little hiccup there to start the second half where it looked like they were kind of leaning into their same tendencies, where they were getting a little, I don't know, basic, a little like premeditated. They kind of had this plan of what they wanted to do, and when it wasn't working, they kind of get out of that rut. But then once they did, it really did start to click again. You could see a team that while they didn't hit any vertical shots downfield, there was clearly a small like threat of always getting somebody over the top. The fact that you did have Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy out there together was threatening a defense. A good defense, vertically and horizontally all the time. DeAndre Hopkins comes up with some nice big plays and he needed to. Travis Kelce might be on the catch and fall down plan, but he's still good at it, especially over the middle of the field. It's like, it just finally felt like you had an offense that was ready to attack all levels, all areas of the field at any time, and they kind of got into a groove. And we saw it again. This team's kind of getting a little bit, when this team gets away from the Travis Kelce centric game plan. We said it earlier in the year with Rashee Rice needed a bigger role, and then he got it, and it looked good. And we started seeing it now. Somebody else besides Kelce, I think, needs a bigger piece of the pie. The 2 drives this game where they decided to go to Xavier Worthy a ton, those might have been their 2 best drives of the entire game. Some of the drives at the end, obviously, where they're eating up clock were good too. But like, it just seems like when the focus is somebody besides Kelce, the offense seems to flow a little bit better. And then he can still go get open on third downs when they need it. So it feels like they're rounding into finding a little bit more of an identity. They're meshing all these different concepts together. They're utilizing all their weapons in a different way. So yeah, I do think this was a very promising whole output from the entire offensive cast tuck. And then, like I said, you got to see all the weapons kind of work together and the threats those present. And I think that's going to be huge for them going forward.
DeAndre Hopkins had a couple big catches in this game too. There was one early when Mahomes just rifled it across the middle and he pulled it in. You're just like, holy cow, how did you pull that in? And DeAndre Hopkins has made a living, right, making those plays. And obviously the toe tap on the sideline where he keeps himself in bounds and is able to make the play on a I believe it was a third down. And maybe it wasn't on that drive. There was one drive where the Chiefs didn't even face a third down, right, on one of their scoring drive.
The final touchdown drive, I believe.
Yeah, it was very impressive from them to have that there where they didn't even face a third down. All plays were positive. They had 0 negative plays. That was one of those drives where you're like, okay, this is probably close to the ceiling of this offense. And when they're humming at that point, you feel pretty good about any team going up against. You mentioned that defense is a really good defense, and the Chiefs made them look like not a very good defense. So that's obviously a very big positive from the offense. I think mainly my biggest takeaway from the game is their ability to put the game away, because look, I mentioned it already. The past few months have been kind of torturous in terms of putting games away for this team. They get the ball, they don't give it back. They are able to ice it with a first down there. Kareem Hunt has 2 big runs on that little drive there. And look, that might be a theme that we're going to see here. If they are able to get that 1 seed, we're going to see these older guys that have been shouldering the load for a lot of the year get the bye week. They come back well rested. And look, Kareem Hunt's gotten some rest because Pacheco's came back, and Pacheco's shouldered a lot more of the load recently than Kareem Hunt's had to. He looked good in this game. I liked how Kareem Hunt looked in this game, and just with their ability to run the ball and get things going. Offensive line, that obviously has a lot to do there. Mike Caliendo started off a little rough. I think that they were kind of dialing up some delayed pressures on Caliendo. I think really well. Yeah, I think it was really well schemed up from D'Amico Ryans and the Texans, truthfully. But other than, they adjusted to that well, and then for the rest of the game, I was pretty happy with the performance of the offensive line.
All right, without looking, gentlemen, can you tell me who led the Kansas City Chiefs in targets in this game?
Xavier Worthy?
I was going to say Xavier Worthy, too. That's what it feels like.
Correct, Xavier Worthy. Do you know who was second in the team in targets in this game?
Hollywood Brown?
Hollywood Brown. The Chiefs get both Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy. And look, when you can roll out Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, and Travis Kelce in a personnel grouping, that's a good group to have right there.
Yeah.
And it felt like you saw the effects of Hollywood Brown being on the field for everybody. Like you started to see the reveal a little bit of what this thing might have looked like, if you had gotten Hollywood Brown for the entirety of the season, if you had got Rashee Rice for the entirety of the season, because there was a lot more easy completions at the disposal of Patrick Mahomes. They were able to pepper some quick out routes. They were able to take some easy stand-up hitches out routes to a Hollywood, to a Xavier Worthy. And we talked about it, I think, in the leading up to this game. It's, if you've got the vertical ability of those two players on the outside, you can really, you can dictate coverage a little bit. You can see some softer shells, and maybe some of those easier completions start to come into shape. And both Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown feasted in those situations. But I think, you see DeAndre Hopkins come up with some big plays in this game. You see Travis Kelce come up with some big catches in this game. That's what this thing's going to look like if they're going to go out and take care of business in January. You're seeing the ball moved around a lot. You're seeing a lot of guys getting involved and coming up in big moments. How well-rounded and how involved this group was really impressive.
Well, I think they're going to need it too, because earlier in the year, the Chiefs relied a lot on the run game being able to not necessarily win them games, but keep them ahead of the sticks and control the game. And that just seems a little bit less consistent here lately, right? It seems a little bit less consistent that they are always going to get 2 back-to-back positive run plays and always stay ahead of the sticks with the run game. So you're going to need to manufacture some more stuff through the air. And I don't mean gimmicky plays. I just mean you're going to need to have another handful of reliable plays coming from your pass game. And in the past, that's always been Travis Kelce. Last year, or to start this year, it was the Rashee Rice stuff. Now they haven't really had that. They hadn't had the reliable, this is going to get us 5 yards. And now I think you're starting to see they're finding that, though. Whether it's a Hollywood Brown or Xavier Worthy, they're using the speed of these fast guys with the way they can threat the field vertically and getting these little speed outs going, right? They're getting a lot of that kind of stuff. And that's just free yards. I mean, Worthy on these little whip routes or these little outs coming from the inside, he's been nearly unguardable the past few weeks. And he's feasting on teams with those. You add Hollywood Brown into that mix. He's also getting open that way, while you have guys like Kelce and DeAndre Hopkins work in the middle of the field. So all the pieces are starting to slot into place for this offense. I think you're seeing it. I think you also saw it with the Chiefs a little bit down the stretch in this game. I think they know which running back they might prefer. I think that became a little apparent as this game went on, which running back they feel a little bit more comfortable with right now. And so like I think all the pieces are starting to fall into place. The only thing missing still is the offensive line and getting the protection completely sealed up, because there was still a little bit more than you would like to see in this game. Getting to Mahomes, who was clearly a little impacted after those first couple early runs. He didn't get out on the move near as much. You wonder if that ankle started to tighten up on him a little bit as the game went on and he was resting and moving and resting.
I think it definitely did. I mean,
Yeah,
I think you saw. I think a couple of those, out routes where he tried to use more upper body than lower base was because he's out compensating for the ankle, and you saw him kind of fizzle out on him. So.
Well, and yeah, even more than that, it was just like they stopped calling some of those sprint outs. Like in the first half, when they had those good drives, they were getting the pocket on the move, and those kind of started to go away a little bit towards the middle part of the game. So I think there's still some stuff they have to work on. Don't get me wrong, but it was just a really nice game where you can very easily see how all these pieces work together, how they are gonna operate going forward. And then if we can go back and change the Justin Watson ball through his hands, or I think it was more Hollywood Brown, just kind of a little slow out of his out and up break rather than Mahomes just flat out missing him. But like you put one of those explosive downfield passes back in that I thought were pretty well thrown. Like you're looking
Worthy gets one more foot down. One of those,
Right. Yeah. Right. Worthy gets, I mean, I'd say that was a good defensive play, so I didn't want to use it. But yeah, I mean, like same concept, right? He makes that catch. Like one of those plays that were all good throws. Like those were all good general plays. Then all of a sudden we're looking at this offense, not only saying, oh, we see all the pieces in place now, but now you're like, hey, this is what happens. This is no longer a what if, or we can see it. It actively happens. So like, I think there's a very good looking game for the offense that should keep everybody kind of spirits high going into a quick turnaround before they play the Pittsburgh Steelers in 48 hours?
It's 48 hours. So I mean 43 actually, I believe is what it is. One of the things I think you can kind of point to in this game as well is, I think I said earlier, I think it was the best coach game that the Chiefs have had in a minute. And I feel like the Chiefs knew that they needed, they wanted to get this one. And like, I'm not saying I don't think they're holding everything back, but you saw the Chiefs go back to some of the man beaters that they've had success with in the past that we haven't seen them deploy this year. The Chiefs were running, running back rail routes, with traffic created by the receivers up to great success. I think they got 2 first downs out of it. Samaje Perine gets involved, has 50. He's second on the team in receiving yards today, 3 catches, 50 yards, including a long explosive one. They wanted this one, and like I think this is what I say. Like you've got a hobbled quarterback, you're trying to play him, you're trying to win this football game, you're trying to get to the 1 seed so you can kind of put yourself in a better situation to get some rest. You're pushing really hard. You really need to win this game because trying to go to Pittsburgh on short rest could be a big challenge. Especially if we ever talk about some of these injuries that this team incurred. But I mean, I think they came with a really good game script today too. Like I think the Chiefs had a really good game script. I think they had great answers from man covers that they were ready to put on tape that we haven't really seen them put on tape this year, even though they've got them, more in, that we've seen them in prior years. And you saw Samaje Perine and his value in this game. Like I think this was the best performance for a Samaje Perine this season easily. If you're looking at, kind of his performance today too. So I thought it was just a fantastic job just from an organizational level this week, taking care of business and getting a win against a good Houston Texans football team.
I got a couple of notes here too. With this game, obviously the Chiefs moved to 14-1 on the season. Is that good after winning back-to-back Super Bowls? Sources are saying it is.
Pretty good.
I actually think that's the best start ever from back-to-back defending Super Bowl champions.
Oh, wow.
Yes, best start ever. Also unbeaten at Arrowhead this year for the first time since 2003, the first time that the Chiefs have been unbeaten at Arrowhead. Last year they went 5-4 at Arrowhead. So kind of recapturing that Arrowhead magic there. Next Gen Stats also tweeted something as I'm waiting for the press conferences to start. Obviously, we'll give you injury updates as they happen to us here. Patrick Mahomes was most efficient in the quick passing game in the Chiefs win over the Texans, finished 17 of 19 for 155 yards and a touchdown on passes
Checks out.
under 2.5 seconds. Mahomes averaged his fastest time to throw, 2.5 seconds in a game since week 4 of 2021. So getting the ball out of Mahomes' hands quick in this one, which does make sense. You guys mentioned that makes sense game plan wise for this one, with especially the weapons that they have had with the cast of guys.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Especially because like with the ankle injury and everything, trying not to push the ball downfield, risk all that stuff. Like I think it all made sense, but then you also had guys that can get open quick. Like I think that's the undersold part of that is Xavier Worthy's your only guy that gets open quick for this team, especially against a man coverage heavy team like the Texans. They have one guy that kind of got open quick. Well, now you sprinkle Hollywood Brown back in there, and he's not a man coverage like beater. That's not what his calling card is, but he can win quick. If you're going to give him a free release or he's going to find leverage, he can get open quick. And I think that's a big thing that we saw is not only were they getting zone stuff or finding Kelsey and Hopkins, you now have two guys that can win fast. You get these plays where the running backs are leaking out behind some traffic on these little quick passes, and they're getting to it fast, not as checkdowns, but they're getting to it as like an actual read on the pass play. They found a way to get the ball into playmakers' hands. It's just having two guys that can win, and that under 2.5 seconds rather than needing Travis Kelsey or Hopkins needing a little bit more time. I do think that makes a big difference in just how often you can rely on the quick passing game.
I just saw a quote here from Andy Reid. He called this the best game that the Chiefs have had all year. And just thinking back off the top of my head, I think that's right. Like, I don't think there's any other game that I would put there.
He says all three phases.
Ravens game to me. Still the Ravens game to me, but yeah.
Interesting.
Hey, yeah, I mean, I could see that too. I mean, that was a pretty good one. But this one, but that was a long time ago. That feels like
it was. Oh wow, what was the Chiefs' best game? Yeah, the first game of the year.
Yeah, no, I can hear an argument that this was. I definitely can. Like the only nitpicking I will get is like all three phases. I thought some special teams decision making, trying to return that ball right out of the half leads to getting the ball in the 10. Then they punt and they get the ball in positive territory. Like that was the biggest blunder I think for the Chiefs in this entire game. Oh, by the way, how many touchdowns the Texans get? One,
right?
That one touchdown.
Two.
They got two. The first
Dalton Schultz ragdolled. Remember Trip McDuffie?
Yeah,
he got called.
The first touchdown was a hold on George Karlaftis and OPI on Dalton Schultz.
That wasn't OPI.
It was definitely.
That was a weight room check.
We'll argue more about that in a second, but I do think it's time to take a break. We can get onto the defense after this.
Shop Chiefs tickets and more with no fees. Plus, save big with code KCSN at ticketsforless.com, the official ticket provider of KC Sports Network.
Kansas City Chiefs are 14-1. They win 27-19. They take care of business and outclass the Houston Texans. Very clearly outclassed that Houston Texans team. The better football team won. Inarguably, the better football team won, and they sit here 14-1. One win from the AFC's one seed, the most prized possession, and they're starting to look better and better. We just got done talking about the offense. I think there's a lot of good things on the defense too. We will get to, but I know Tucker D. Franklin's got something that he wants to update us on here.
I do want to just add to, before we dive into the defense, just a kind of an overall team note here. 6 wins versus current playoff teams. Like no one else in the league has 6 wins over current playoff teams. Ooh. That's not nothing. I think that is that's very important to mention there too when you talk about this team. Put some respect on their name. Oh, and Jack Conklin has a fractured ankle.
We are getting some more updates. Jawan Taylor strained his knee. Chris Jones strained his left calf.
Strained his knee.
We can talk about some of those decisions that this team might need to be making.
How do you strain a knee?
That's what I was trying to figure out. How do you? Yeah, what's a knee? I mean, like I guess
honestly,
pick
every injury is a strain.
Right.
Correct.
For Andy.
I just think it's
every
funny.
Single injury. Andy loves the word strain. Injury. Strangery read.
He said Wanya Morris's knee injury was like an ankle sprain. I thought that was funny. That's still
obviously
funny.
It was like an ankle sprain, except for it was a knee. But there's some injury updates for this team. They're gonna have some decisions to make on short rest. We'll see how this game goes. Steelers. We'll see how this Steelers game goes. Because we don't need to worry about that today. We do need to talk about the Chief fence though, and I'm gonna call him the Chief fence, Maddie. I don't care.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So
I think. Hey, look, they clearly have their flaws. They and I think you definitely saw some of those flaws being maximized by the Houston Texans, especially when Tank Dell was in this game and healthy.
Yeah.
But only 19 points. They do a pretty good job. They turn them over. They're getting some turnovers. They turn CJ Stroud over, and honestly, I think that's one of the biggest develops. Trent McDuffie just on an absolute heater, goes from no interceptions his entire career to back-to-back weeks with interceptions. Of course, that's how it works, Maddie.
Can't stop him. Can't stop him now. That's Trent with Trint is how you have to spell it now from going on.
No,
I'm not with you. I'm not going with the Chiefs. I thought it was actually a pretty bad game by the defense. Not that they lucked out, but like they got 2 turnovers on very poorly thrown footballs. And like that changes like the entire, I think, dynamic of how it looks. And that was big because you go into the stats, yards per play for both teams is kind of equal. Third down conversions is kind of equal. The Chiefs just converted better. They protected the ball and converted better, which that's part of them being the better team. Don't get me wrong, but for a large portion of this game, it felt like the Texans were doing what the Chiefs did. Well, actually, I take that back. For a large portion of the game, it felt like the Texans were trying to do what the Chiefs did and just get to third down, then convert, only they weren't getting into third and shorts. It was still third and long, and they were just converting them to move down the field. So it was nice to see the defense come up with these interceptions when they were given the opportunity. That's something we talked about going into last week. Jameis was going to give you the opportunity to turn the ball over. Can you take it? Because that's something they hadn't done well. Well, they did it great last week. And guess what? They continued that into this week. So that matters. And you got to get that little bit. Maybe it's like it's just a rhythm. Maybe you find maybe it's just something like building up the confidence in terms of forcing these turnovers, but they force 2 turnovers that matter. They start to get a little bit more pressure down the stretch. Like it wasn't a bad defensive game. I just think from start to finish watching that game, I didn't come away thinking, okay, I feel good about this defense right now because pressure was few and far between. Coverage had a lot of busts or a lot of really bad play. I didn't think the linebackers built on what was a really good week last week in terms of like Leo Chenal looked lost a few times. Bolton looked a little slow out to the sidelines. Like I can't pick out too many guys outside of Trent McDuffie that I thought had great games, but like overall they did enough to put the offense in position to win this one.
I think you can point to I think George Karlaftis had a great game. I'll say that. I think he had one of his better performances. I think he stacked better performances together. I thought the pass rush was streaky, but there were some really good moments from the pass rush and some key drives that the pass rush stepped up. I think you saw some big mental mistakes from the rookies, and like it's a good thing that these rookies are getting some opportunities. That was a good game for a Christian Roland Wallace and a really good game for Jaden Hicks to be in. Because like that, the 3rd and 15 that you saw, where they just threw the ball into the flat, I think that was a miscommunication between Roland Wallace and Hicks. Nobody
took blame for that live. If I remember right, live, I think McDuffie took blame actually on that one.
Was he the outside corner on that?
Carried Nico. If we're talking about the same play, one of the second half,
3rd and 15 is short. Yeah. To Schultz.
Yeah. He carried Nico vertically to that side. It looked like Roland Wallace was in no man's land, but like after the play, the camera did show Trent kind of like tapping on his chest, like he probably knew he shouldn't have carried it so far. But either way, your point still stands.
Yeah, there's just, I think you saw there was good opportunity for the rookies. They got a lot of playing time in this game. I'm kind of curious to see what the snap counts are. Jaden Hicks comes down with an interception. Like he deserves a lot of credit for what he did in this game too. I don't know. I think you're not going to – I don't know if you'll be – it's not going to be the 2023 version of the Kansas City Chiefs. But you're going to get – like this is the kind of performance I think that can win in January. This kind of football, this style of football, the offense leading from the front again, the defense doing some good things in this game, Spags being timely. I mean, Spags had a great game plan. Blitzing, running a cat blitz basically every time they were condensed on 3rd down. Like they ran a cat from when the Texans went condensed, they ran a cat blitz and got him, I think, twice in the second half. Like there's some really good things from that Chiefs in that game. I don't think you're gonna be able to replicate. Maybe the only chance I think you have a chance of like replicating is if Steven Nelson comes in and plays capably, and you can move Trent McDuffie around a little bit more. That can maybe get you back to what you saw in 2023. But I think that was kind of, what you can expect from the Chiefs against some of these top tier teams and these top tier offenses. And I thought they did a lot of good things in that game, and enough to win against a very good football team.
My biggest takeaway from the defense was their ability to close. Kind of like the same thing with the offense, right? They were able to come in and get a stop with the 82. Joshua Williams, I believe, gets a sack on the last drive that the Texans had to kind of force them to give the ball back to the Chiefs there. And I think that their ability there down the stretch to close games on both sides of the ball has been one of the things where, needed to be picked up. And the defense really got it done where it needed to be. They were in the red zone. Chris and George got some pressure there too. George tipped another ball. That dude also tips a lot of balls. He tips so many balls. Like, that's crazy. And Chris does get hurt on that play, right? But, they're getting pressure there on a third down when they needed to get pressure there. So, I really like the defense's ability to kind of close this game out and not let the Texans make it a game, right? I think that was kind of a big thing too, just like the offense did. But that was going to be the biggest takeaway from this game. Because, Matty, you mentioned like there were still some times there where, Najee Johnson was getting lost out there. They were finding 13. They were targeting 2 on some situations that they needed to. And like, that's just going to happen. I mean, when you have guys out there like that, that's all that they can put out there. I did think Chris Wallace actually played a pretty decent game when it came down to it, but overall, just their ability to kind of close this game out down the stretch was huge.
Yeah, and that continues to be a thing from either side of the Chiefs team, right? It's like, come winning time, they know how to win. And like, it sounds silly and it sounds like a giant trope, but you don't want to be in a close game against the Chiefs. And for as much, crap as they've gotten all year about relying on the defense to win a game when it's close, or the special teams, like, that's kind of what they do. And they're very good at it. They're very good at finding ways to win. The defense, again, I don't think played very good in this game. And we can't overstate what that injury to Tank Dell did, not only like on the actual performance of the Houston Texans offense, but also like the just emotional impact it had. But you did see the Chiefs defense get a little bit stingier down the stretch. When the Texans did get in the red zone or start to get close to scoring territory, the pressure ramped up a little bit. There was some better coverage. We saw some nice plays getting back and like blowing up some screens. So this defense, like the offense and the special teams unit, when the pressure turns up, so do they, and they do get better in those situations. It's just rough coming out of the game. I'm like, you can't point, I don't think, to a whole lot of guys and say, I think, played a great game today on the defensive side. But collectively, when it was time to show up, they made the timely plays. They made it difficult for the Texans. And I think the Roland Wallace point's very interesting to me because Shamari Connor probably doesn't play in this next game against the Steelers on Christmas Day with the quick turnaround, would just be my guess, seeming he was still kind of where he's going through concussion protocol. But after that, do we see more Roland Wallace going forward? Like, I thought every time he's played, it's been okay. It hasn't been objectively bad or great, but I think he provides a little different flavor than Shamari Connor does. And so when you get him these reps and he looked kind of strong in them, it makes a good case that he should maybe see the field a little bit more when they have struggled covering some slot wide receivers for a lot of the year. And
like, maybe it's a timeshare between those two, right? Maybe it doesn't have to be an all or nothing. Maybe they just try to sprinkle Christian Roland Wallace in a little bit more. I do see some reports and some stuff coming out of both press conferences. Just a quick update. Texans head coach D'Amico Ryans told reporters that wide receiver Tank Dell will remain at a Kansas City hospital overnight with a significant knee injury. Man, I feel man, he's been through so much. People forget he got shot this offseason too.
It's true.
Like,
I instantly knew it wasn't good either. Like, that catch, like, as soon as he caught it, he was like, oh, that's not good. And he instantly knew it too, obviously, as he was pointing to his knee. But yeah, tough.
Poor CJ Stroud too, man. Like, he was going through it after that game too. Andy Reid says, I'll let you figure it out there, or you can pay my bill. When asked about the Chiefs playing 3 games in 11 days. That's from Mackenzie Nelson reporting out there. A couple other things. Reed says it's probably too early to tell whether Chris Jones can return from a calf injury for the game Wednesday. The trouble is it's basically already down to 93 hours to kick off. That's from Vahe Gregorian. we can talk more about that on Monday, and I'm sure we'll have more answers about that on Monday. And then Andy Reid on all the receivers. The great thing about all those guys is they all want to play and make the play, but we only have one ball, and I have to explain that to them.
It's true. One ball. That is the biggest argument with bringing in different wide receivers. So that anytime an AFC contender is going to bring in a wide receiver, Deontay Johnson is now out there. He's now going to hit waivers, but you can only say one ball. How is it going to make it work? One ball.
I talked a lot about how, during the season, during this week, that I felt like, this could be a galvanizing moment for the rest of the team with Patrick Mahomes in refocus his teams. There's losses refocus you. The Chiefs have one loss, and you can see the bye week, you can taste the bye week. And you've got a hobbled quarterback that's done a lot of things to get you to this point. Trent McDuffie on Patrick Mahomes' toughness. That was a big thing for us this week. Defense, we felt like we had to come in and control this game. I'm excited to seeing this offense come back and starting to get healthy. You can kind of see there was a little bit of urgency for the entirety of the team because of Patrick Mahomes' injury. And you absolutely saw that on the field today. I thought you saw the urgency in this team during this game. I think that's one of the things. I think that's why you saw one of the most complete and best performances for this team of this season.
This team wants to win. They want week 18 off. They want week 18 off. It's obviously every team wants to win, but I've never felt more certain of anything than this team wants that final week of the year. And we've already seen some people say, oh, that's 24, 25 days in between playing real games. Look at this team right now. Chris Jones has one leg. Patrick Mahomes has one ankle. Hollywood Brown's afraid to take contact because he doesn't know if his shoulder's going to combust again.
Right.
They have all these issues across this entire team. They are playing to get week 18 off. I don't think you see a letdown in a couple days. Honestly, I don't know what the Steelers got going on. We'll have to sit down and watch that game and just see what their energy level's like. But the Chiefs came out and really cared about this game. They did. They came out with the goal to win this game, and they did from start to finish. I bet you see the same thing on Christmas Day too. They are really trying to get that last game off, and they know they have to win 2 out of the next 3 to do, or the next 2 games to do that. They did the first one here, but and I'm sure I don't want to downplay the toughness of Mahomes carrying over to other guys. Chris Jones playing continuously 90+% of the snaps. Travis Kelce doesn't even want to run after the catch because he gets tired, but he's still playing 90% of the snaps. There's guys that are giving it their all, not only to win, but like I said, to get that last week off. So I've never felt more certain of anything than how badly this team wants that final game of the season to take a break.
The Travis Kelce yak plan is actually hilarious. It's
not a plan.
True. He just catch it and fall down. That's it. If you need to run, flip it to Samaje Perine. But Samaje Perine was kind of waddling on his play that he had.
Kent's idea of outsourcing his yak is still one of the funniest things.
It's not my idea. It was my brother's idea. I tweeted it out. I tagged my brother in it. It was my brother's idea. He's saying he's outsourcing the yak.
Because anymore, the thing is, I can't decide if he's falling down to avoid getting hit or if he's just falling down because he ain't got it. I can't tell which. On some of those little pivot routes where he just turns, catches it, and the Kelce of old would immediately just continue that into a full 180 and start to run. He is just going. His feet are just flying out from under him as he does it. And I'm is he trying to avoid a hit, or can he just not keep his feet moving at this 12 miles an hour that he's moving at? What's going on here? So it's just. And like I said, we're still mostly talking defense, but I like that they're getting away from force feeding him. Defensively, you guys mentioned it. I saw some people in the chat. Karlaftis did have another good game. Having back-to-back games was nice. You do need that from him. I thought Charles Omenihu had a couple reps where he still looked good, but you could tell he's working back from an injury. So it was a quality overall defensive performance. Like I said, I don't know if a whole lot outside of those few guys that we mentioned really stuck out. I don't know if anybody else did for you guys.
I mean, Jane Hicks gets another pick.
Yeah.
I think he did some good things in this game. I can't really come up with any overly negative. I think he played a vertical. He played a vertical really well when the Texans tried to go with the deep shot. A lot of the Texans play. A lot of the Texans deep stuff was off play action. They are catching the Chiefs in 4-man rushes. They're keeping a tight end or a back in, and so you got 6 for 4, and that's where Chiefs weren't able to really affect affect Stroud enough on that vertical stuff. But no, I thought Hicks did a good job. He had that pick. He made a nice play on an out route. He did some good things in this game for sure. We're getting Patrick Mahomes at the podium on his touchdown run. If it all opened up, I knew I could run. It's the stopping that's hard. Just playing football. Cutting isn't great yet. I can stopping and cutting isn't great for me right now. Now either.
That run after his first run, when the way he ran that first time where he couldn't quite get to the first down, and then watching him get up from that one, I did not expect another scramble of any substantial distance coming, because that first one looked rough.
He took a shot in the end zone too. Like on the touchdown run, he took a shot in the end zone, popped back up. But yeah, no, good to see people think he's still faking it.
Faking it and all kind. Yeah, people like dramatizing it and all that stuff. I think people are getting just fed up with the Chiefs in general.
Well, Justin Herbert on Thursday, I don't know if you guys saw this. Early in the game, he had an ankle injury, but then late in the game, he ran for a fourth down conversion. So he must have been faking it.
Yeah.
Well, against the Chiefs, he acted like he lost his leg or his rib cage, and then he came right back in the game. Like, hold on, and don't get me wrong, Justin Herbert's tough as hell. He's gone through some crazy injuries for that team and gone back out there. But my man laid on the field like he got shot, and then he came back out there. So,
Patrick Mahomes on Xavier Worthy's growth this week. I think that's the one that stood out to me in particular was the one that ended up out of bounds. You want to see him making contested catches, and he's getting more and more comfortable. Like that, he gets a second. He gets a second foot down. There's 2 touchdowns. He catches the one I think that was intended for Travis Kelce at the end of the game. That's 3 touchdowns. Yeah. My man is, I said the emoji that best exemplifies Xavier Worthy's season is the so close award, or the emoji just right there. The whole season is just right there. He's having a fantastic rookie season. We're talking nuclear rookie season. He's like that close, and he still has 8 touchdowns. Man has 8 touchdowns on the season.
He's coming on great. He should have caught the one that was intended for Kelce. I mean, I'll say that one he should have caught. Like that one he should have caught.
I'm not sure it was intended for Kelce.
So, I went back and forth. Everybody else assumed that it was, but he's like, it was scramble rules. Worthy's just working back to the middle of the field because that's the way where Mahomes is going. He runs the defender back in there. Everybody talks about like saving an interception. Like, well, yeah, he saved an interception, but he also is the only reason that there was a defender nearby, and it's not his fault, right? That's not his fault.
That's fair.
Whoever it was intended for doesn't matter. He got both hands on that ball without like having to be like fingertips. Like that was a catchable ball, so he should have caught that one. Stingley had great coverage. If he doesn't bump his leg, I bet he gets he's trying to get his feet down. He might get both feet down on that ball that Mahomes is talking about where he falls out of bounds. The only other thing I saw before we do, if you guys have anything else, was I have had some people say they want some Pacheco talk. So here's the Pacheco talk that I have. Play Kareem Hunt more. Please. Like I like I like the speed. You like the home run ability that Pacheco has, but some of those short yardage plays, those were rough. Like you can see the difference when it's Kareem Hunt and when it's Isaiah Pacheco, especially on short yardage. So I like, I definitely like going more with Kareem Hunt going forward. I think the Chiefs felt that, like down the stretch, that's who it was. So we will see how it goes playing forward. But like, I wonder if the Chiefs are coming around a little bit to say, Pacheco, we like him, but he's like a 2 or a 1B, and we got to find somebody else to be ahead of him.
Matt Lane, I think we're just going to kick you out, and me and Tucker will go a little bit longer before we do Toast Game, unless you want to.
Perfect.
Or Tuck, do you just want to go to Toast Game?
No, we can talk a little bit longer. I just wanted to say Ashton Genty before
he'll be gone.
Out of here.
He'll be gone.
Will he?
What's going on?
Will he be gone? I don't know.
He'll be gone before the Chiefs pick at 32.
All right, fellas. Well, I'm going to give my Toast Game. Then I will slip out of here, and you guys can keep going. My Toast Game goes to, let's go to Hollywood Brown. Getting back on the field. They gave him some opportunities. He made some nice plays. He looked good out there, and I think he brings not necessarily a new dimension, but the fact that you add a more reliable player of the same body type and, like, big threat that, like, Worthy has, I think that is going to continue to open up a lot of stuff, and it was nice to see him get out there, get back on the field. That first target, he makes his first catch. So it was nice to see Hollywood Brown back out there, so shout out Hollywood Brown. Big game from him, and hey, Chiefs are one game away from locking up that 1 seed. So that's kind of nice.
We are right there on the precipice, boys. And I'm watching. I mean, the Steelers. Joey Porter just is walking off the field right now, injured. And they still haven't finished a whole football game. So the Chiefs are going to have a 3-hour advantage in a 72-hour window on the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, but if it goes to overtime, we might be looking at like a 3.5 hour.
Oh, look at that! Matty Lane, we will talk to you on Monday, buddy.
I
Thanks
won't be
for spending
fighting
some
the
time
sun
with
then.
us.
Yeah.
Are you going to be there on Monday?
No, I'll be back in my normal setup, and I won't have. Poor me, I won't have the sun beam glaring off of the ocean front right into my face.
That is,
poor me.
That's Matthew Lane from the Jerry Dome.
Yeah.
Wait, I got curtains. Hold on, I have curtains. Aha! See, I can catch now.
Jerry Jones was not involved in the decision making of that house because it has curtains.
If Jerry Jones was involved, this is what would happen right here. It would be kind of like
that's Matty Lane. That is Matty Lane. Here, thanks to him. Xavier Worthy is at the podium wearing a Patrick LaVon Mahomes jersey.
The Tech one, the new Texas Tech one, I thought was funny.
He's wearing a Tech jersey. Here's an update on Tank Dell. James Palmer. My understanding is Texans wide receiver Tank Dell was never brought to the X-ray room here at Arrowhead. He was immediately taken from the stadium by ambulance. KU was on standby during games for instances like this. So, I feel like there was some kind of, it seemed like, and like the response in the protocol would indicate some kind of trauma as well. When it comes to some kind of trauma there, when it comes to what happened with Tank Dell. And that's just that's 2 straight years, man. Feel bad for him. Feel bad for the Texans.
Tank Dell broke his leg last year, right?
Yes.
So because he was blocking in like a goal line situation, and I remember he broke his. Was it the same leg? Do we know that?
I can't remember what leg it was. I can't remember what leg it was. I'll have to go check that out. More quotes. Patrick Mahomes on Xavier Worthy. His talent is through the roof. Like this team, you see why this you're seeing him kind of continue to just get better and better and better. 7 catches, 65 yards, leads the team, gets a touchdown, was on the verge of getting multiple touchdowns in this game. Like you take that, and I don't know if it's a coincidence that Hollywood Brown comes back and all of a sudden things start looking better too. Like the pieces on this offense are just starting to fit. Nuke, Hollywood, Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce. You get capable protection. I don't know if that's Humphreys and Tooney. I don't know if that's Tooney and Caliendo. I don't know what it looks like. But, man, you've got to feel good about where this team is heading offensively. That was a fantastic performance. And, I still think there's meat on the bone for this team. I feel a step that they can take. This is coming from KC Sports Network. Ever heard of it? Patrick Mahomes in his first 7 games, 8 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Patrick Mahomes in the last 8 games, 15 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So you're starting to see him kind of, starting to take steps more and more every single, week. This offense is, finding its groove. It's, I think it's been a slow process, but the regular, if you're the Kansas City Chiefs time defending champs, the regular season is for this. Can you hear me?
Kent seems like he's suffering some technical difficulties. I tried to fight through that one.
Can you hear me?
Remain pretty stoic during that one, but can't find through some technical difficulties here. Appreciate you all hanging out, watching us here on the KCSN postgame show. But yes, Patrick Mahomes having a good year. I'll find the tweet that Kent was talking about.
I think that you can hear me. Okay, you can hear me. I don't know if you can hear Tucker. Okay, we'll get Tucker back on the show here in a little bit, but I think that was what we were experiencing. I was talking. I was like, I think you can hear me fine. I think it was on Tuck's side. Tuck, I think it was on your side.
It was my fault.
Yeah, like everyone's like, hey, we can hear Kent fine. It's all right. We're good, buddy. We're
ball
good.
Ball up top.
We're all good. We're just running things back right here. It's all good. Thanks for making me lose my train of thought. I appreciate that. Joey Porter is out is questionable with the calf injury for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like that's something to keep an eye on. Every single injury matters because it's like 72 hours before these two teams will be lining up and playing on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, which I think is absolutely insane. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I can't tell you how. And here, I mean, if you go back to the Cleveland game, and you kind of heard me talking about the Cleveland game, the fact that the Chiefs are 2-0 during the absolute gauntlet already, they're 2-0, that they've gotten through the gauntlet 2-0 is huge. It's so big for this team, and they're 1 win from the 1 seed. Pretty good chance that they're getting the 1 seed at this point. I have a hard time believing this team's going to drop 2 games to close the season out. I think they're going to go take care of business. They know they want it, and this could be a huge opportunity. Ravens Steelers, man, like the Ravens and the Steelers are having to go beat each other up today, and then they're going to go play on Christmas Eve or on Christmas Day. Like, I don't know, getting out of this 2-0, putting themselves in a great spot. Who knows if the Steelers will have George Pickens for that game here in 3 days? Like, we just don't know. And man, what an opportunity for the Kansas City Chiefs. They could be done with the regular season on Christmas Day. That would be the best present you could possibly give us right now.
Yeah, it'd be huge. But it'd also be huge if my internet worked, and if this was all coming through just fine, that would be also massive.
We can hear you.
Okay, that's great. No, I'm glad. I'm glad you can hear me. Yeah, that's going to be certainly a game to watch. Obviously, is that game. But yeah, I don't think that it should be glossed over or not talked about as much. Like, this stretch that the Chiefs were on with the 3 games in 11 days, being 2-0 already is massive. Like, that's huge. And kind of like going into it, you were thinking like, hey, if they drop 1, like, that's understandable, right? Because of like the human element of playing it. But they're going into the stretch here where I think we might have anticipated them to drop maybe even a few more games and they haven't. So no, all positive vibes going into this game where they have to play. I think in 15 minutes they got to suit up and go out for this one. I don't know if they can catch a flight actually in time to Pittsburgh, but we'll see there. But yeah, I cannot imagine that the NFL does this again, because I can.
What hold on, let's see. Christmas Day 2026 is on a Friday, so they don't have to worry about that problem again next year.
Yeah, they'll just put it on Friday. Yeah,
they'll just they can just do a Friday football game on Christmas Day. But when I looked at the Chiefs schedule, like beginning of the year, I know that there was like a lot of like quote unquote rest edges that they had during this season, more than they had last year. But I really did not like how it was constructed. You hate the early bye. You hate the 11 games of the 11-day slog. Like, those are 2 really negative affecting things. Like, I know they get rest edge or whatever, but that doesn't matter as much because of the early bye and because of what they're in the middle of now. And this team just continues to respond. Getting out of here 2-0 is exactly what they needed to do. If they get to 3-0, the regular season's over for them. But they put themselves in a really good situation where they're either going to close things out next week and give Patrick Mahomes and several other key players an opportunity to rest in anticipation of the divisional rounds at Arrowhead, where the entirety of the playoffs runs through Arrowhead yet again, or they're going to give themselves 10 days rest to try and go take care of business against the Denver Broncos in week 18 of the season and still get rest that they need. I'm hoping for a longer stint. I'm hoping they're able to take care of this game Thursday. I'm curious to see what they do, because they have some key positions and some key players that have gotten hurt, like a Chris Jones. And, that Patrick Mahomes guy, like, I have a hard time believing Patrick Mahomes isn't going to play.
Right.
Especially since, he only got hit 3 times in this game, which is huge.
True.
So that was big, but a lot in front of this team here, and just, man, so pleased, so happy that they're in the position that they're in. It really does feel like they're going to go get the 1 seed because they went and took care of business today.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think it's one of those situations too where it makes the road so much easier, and now you don't have to rely on the Buffalo Bills to lose a game against the Patriots or the Jets. I think that's going to be a big thing. Keeping the ball in your court, so to speak, or controlling your own destiny is huge. And they didn't really need the Bills to lose, right? Like, they didn't have to have the Bills lose. Even if they would have lost today, they still could have beat the Steelers, and things could have worked out where they still got the 1 seed. But this is the best case scenario. I think after dropping it to the Bills, I think this is the best case scenario that the Chiefs could have been in, and they're going to have a real shot to kind of close this thing out and have just an insane record when you think about it, all said and done. If they do, so let's say that they lose week 18, they lose 2 games on the year after being back-to-back champions. Like, a lot of times, I went back and I looked at this, a lot of times 14 wins would get you the 1 seed. And like if the Bills go out here and they have 14 wins on the season, that gets you the 1 seed in like probably 97% of seasons. This is probably like the one season it doesn't, because the Chiefs have been playing so well and winning these games. But they take care of business, and they just got to do it one more time. Just got to take care of business one more time.
Well, to be fair, 14 still could. The job's not done.
That's true. Yeah,
They still have a chance. They still got to go take care of business one of these next 2 weeks to ensure it. But man, win number 14 was absolutely huge, and you love to see that win number 14 was the best version of the Kansas City Chiefs I think we've seen all season, continuing to build. And you hope that they just peak at the right time. They've endured a slog of a season. They've toughed it out, and they've won, a lot of close football games. And now you hope that they can be rewarded with extra rest and then peaking at the right time. And you saw them starting to play really good this week against the Texans. Let's go ahead and get toast game and get out of here.
Let's do it.
As always, brought to you by Ben Holiday Bottled and Bond Bourbon. Also, the soft red wheat, an absolutely delicious bourbon as well. Our barrel pick for the KCSN Foundation is what I am enjoying today, as always. And it feels good to be doing Toast Game again, because last couple weeks I've been sick. I'm like right on the precipice of being over this thing. I've only had to hit the cough button a couple times in this today, so I'm peaking at the right time too, Tuck. Anyways, if you are in the chat, go ahead and give some Toast Games out to people that you might want to want to see get a shout out. But Tucker D. Franklin, we will start with you on Toast Game. What say you?
I might be hitting the easy button here. I might be taking the easy way out when it comes to Toast Game. But look, after not doing something for a long time and then doing it for the first time, you just keep wanting to do it over and over again, right? You can take with that what you may. But Trent McDuffie gets his first interception, and he's just going to keep doing it over and over and over and over and over again. He got the taste. He's not going to back down. Trent McDuffie, cheers goes out to you, my friend. Oh, no, you can't really see it. I had the beer app on my phone. Cheers, Trent McDuffie.
Still can't see it. Really can't really see it.
It's a good idea in practice, but in theory, but in practice it didn't work.
We're getting some toast for Samaje Perine. We're getting a toast for George Karlaftis. The entire RB room, I think, deserves some credit. So those are some great ones. I'm gonna go with Xavier Worthy in this one. Man, it's been fun to see him keep getting better and better and better and ingratiate himself further into this offense. I thought that was awesome to see. 7 catches, 65 yards, and a touchdown. There's still a couple things. You could very easily see him even having a bigger game, but you saw them feature him. You saw him feature him for an entire possession essentially, and that touchdown. That was a huge moment for him. He continues to get better, and now you've got Hollywood Brown in the mix, DeAndre Hopkins in the mix. It's starting to feel like they're going to have enough capable bodies. Protection keeps getting better and better. Good things will happen. Get Patrick Mahomes healthy. Get the offensive line healthy, and we roll. That's what I like. I'm feeling good. Yeah, what a win for this football team. It's a relief. I feel like the regular season kind of feels like a relief. Go take care of business, get the 1 seed, get out of there healthy, and go out and play your best football when you have the advantage because you have that championship DNA. You've been reigning champions for 670 plus days. Go keep it rolling, man. So the job's almost done in the regular season. One more win away from that being a thing. And so just so excited. Any final thoughts, Tuck?
I don't think so. I'm just glad that this game was not too stressful. It was a comfortable game. I never really felt like it was in doubt, as I mentioned at the top of the show. Glad we got one that wasn't too heart pounding and just stress, anxiety inducing. That felt good. That was the best part of the game for me, truthfully.
Real quick, do you want the Steelers to win or do you want the Ravens to win?
Ravens. Ravens can't catch the Chiefs, but I think the Steelers technically could.
Yeah, the Steelers. Yeah, no, the Steelers can't.
Neither team can catch.
Neither team can catch. I think I'd root for the Steelers so that they have a 2-game advantage on the Ravens in the AFC North, which takes less pressure off this game on Thursday against the Chiefs. That's what I think. I think because if not, this game's tied, or the AFC North's tied.
Oh, okay.
So I think we're rooting for the Steelers in this game. So we'll do that.
Yeah.
That's it for the KCSN postgame show. Chiefs are 14-1. They're 1 win from the AFC. 1 seed, the coveted prize for the playoffs. That is going to do it for our postgame show. Thank you all so much for listening, watching, supporting. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll catch you later. Talk to you Monday.